I still remember the exact moment I realized something had changed between us. It was 3 weeks into basic training, and Marcus had just come back from the showers with his hair still dripping, wearing nothing but his PT shorts and dog tags. He caught me staring, and instead of looking away like I did, he just smiled. Not a mocking smile or a challenging one, just this soft, knowing smile that made my stomach flip in a way I'd never felt before. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning. My name's Ryan, and 6 months ago I shipped out to Fort Benning for Army basic training. I was 18, fresh out of high school in a small town in Ohio where everyone knew everyone, and secrets didn't stay secret for long. I'd spent my entire senior year trying to figure out who I was, what I wanted, and mostly failing at both. I knew I was different. I knew I looked at guys in the locker room longer than I should. I knew that when my friends talked about girls, I had to fake my enthusiasm just a little too hard. But knowing something and accepting it are two completely different things. I thought the Army would straighten me out, literally. I thought the structure, the discipline, the hyper-masculine environment would either cure me or force me so far back into the closet that I'd never have to deal with it. My dad had been Army, my grandfather too. It felt like the right path, the expected path. And maybe, I thought, it would make me into the man I was supposed to be. The first week of basic was exactly what you'd expect. Chaos, yelling, push-ups until your arms gave out, and this constant low-level terror that you were about to mess up in some catastrophic way. We were assigned bunks in alphabetical order, which is how I ended up sharing a cramped bay with Marcus Chen. He had the bottom bunk, I had the top. Our lockers were side by side. For the next 10 weeks, we'd be closer to each other than most married couples. Marcus was from California, San Francisco specifically, which felt impossibly exotic to me. He was compact and muscular, where I was tall and still kind of gangly. He had this easy confidence that I envied immediately. While I was fumbling with my rifle during drills, he moved with precision. While I was getting smoked for having a wrinkle in my uniform, his was always perfect, but he wasn't cocky about it. When Drill Sergeant Hayes made me do burpees for 20 minutes straight because I called my rifle a gun, Marcus stayed after lights out to show me the proper way to fold my uniform so the creases would be sharp. "It's all about the angles, man," he whispered in the dark, his hands guiding mine on the fabric. "See? You want to line it up like this." His fingers brushed against mine, and I jerked back like I'd been burned. He didn't comment on it, just finished folding the shirt and handed it to me. "You'll get it," he said. "Takes everyone a while to adjust." I wanted to tell him I wasn't adjusting to the folding. I was adjusting to the fact that his touch had sent electricity up my arm. I was adjusting to the fact that I could smell his soap, something clean and cedar-like, and it was making it hard to focus. I was adjusting to the fact that I was in the Army now, surrounded by men, and I couldn't afford to feel what I was feeling. "Thanks," I managed, and climbed up to my bunk before I could embarrass myself further. The thing about basic training is that it strips you down to nothing. Everything that made you an individual gets sanded away. Your hair, your clothes, your privacy, your sense of self. You're rebuilt as a soldier, part of a unit, a weapon in the Army's arsenal. It's supposed to make you hard. It's supposed to make you strong. But for me, it did something else. It made me raw. It made me vulnerable in a way I'd never been before. And Marcus saw it. I don't know how, but he saw it. It was week 4 when things started to shift. We were doing land navigation training, which meant hiking through the Georgia woods with nothing but a map, a compass, and a partner. Marcus and I got paired up. By that point, we'd fallen into an easy rhythm as bunkmates. We didn't talk much, but there was this comfortable silence between us. He'd gotten me through my first real breakdown in week 2 when I'd completely panicked during the gas chamber exercise. I'd returned the favor by covering for him when he overslept and almost missed formation. We were brothers in arms. Battle buddies, that's what the Army called it. That's all it was supposed to be. But out there in the woods, miles from anyone else, something shifted. We'd found our checkpoint and were taking a water break. It was brutally hot, the kind of thick Georgia humidity that made your uniform stick to your skin. Marcus had taken off his helmet and was pouring water over his head, and I was trying very hard not to watch the way it ran down his neck, disappearing under his collar. "Can I ask you something?" he said suddenly. My heart started hammering. Sure. Why'd you really join? I took a long drink from my canteen, buying time. Family tradition, my dad, my grandfather. That's not what I asked. He was looking at me with those dark, intelligent eyes, and I felt like he could see straight through every defense I'd ever built. Why did you join? I could have lied. I should have lied. But something about the woods, the isolation, the way he was looking at me, made me want to tell the truth, or at least part of it. I thought it would make me into someone different, I said quietly. Someone better. Better than what? Than who I am. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I joined because I wanted to get away from who people expected me to be. My parents wanted me to go to Stanford, become a doctor or a lawyer. Traditional Asian parents, you know. But I wanted to be my own person, make my own choices. He paused. Funny how we both ended up here trying to escape something. What are you trying to escape? I asked. He smiled, but it was sad. Expectations, assumptions, the boxes people try to put you in. He stood up and shouldered his pack. Come on, we've got 2 more checkpoints before dark. We didn't talk about it again, but something had opened between us, some door that couldn't quite close again. The next few weeks were a special kind of torture. We were together constantly, marching in formation, doing PT, cleaning our rifles, standing fire watch in the middle of the night, and every moment I was hyper-aware of him, the way he moved, the sound of his laugh when one of the guys told a stupid joke, the concentrated look on his face when he was studying the manual, the way he looked at me sometimes when he thought I wasn't paying attention. Or maybe I was imagining that last part. Maybe I was projecting my own feelings onto him. Maybe I was going crazy from the stress and the lack of sleep and the constant physical demands. That's what I told myself anyway. Then came the night that changed everything. We were in week 8, deep into field training exercises. We'd been in the field for 4 days, sleeping in fighting positions, eating MREs, running combat scenarios. Everyone was exhausted and filthy and running on fumes. On the last night, Marcus and I pulled guard duty together from 0200 to 0400. 2 hours in the middle of the night, just the 2 of us, while the rest of our platoon slept. It was cold. Early November in Georgia, and the temperature had dropped. We were in full gear, rifles across our laps, scanning the tree line for imaginary enemies. For the first hour, we didn't talk, just sat there in the dark, our shoulders almost touching, breathing fog into the air. You ever think about after? Marcus asked suddenly. After what? After basic. After AIT. After all of this. I thought about it all the time. I thought about going home on leave, seeing my family, pretending to be the person they expected. I thought about my next duty station, wherever that would be, and whether I'd spend the rest of my enlistment hiding who I was. I thought about the next 4 years stretching out in front of me like a prison sentence. Sometimes, I said, I think about it constantly. His voice was soft, almost lost in the darkness. I think about whether I made the right choice, whether this is really who I'm supposed to be. You're a good soldier, I said, one of the best in our platoon. That's not what I mean. He shifted, turning to face me. In the darkness, I could barely make out his features, just the glint of his eyes. Ryan, I need to tell you something, and after I tell you, if you want to request a new bunk, I'll understand. I'll tell the drill sergeants I snore too loud or something. But I can't keep pretending. My mouth went dry. Pretending what? That I don't feel something for you. That I haven't felt it since week 2 when you had that panic attack and I talked you down. That I don't look forward to seeing you every morning, and that I don't lie awake at night knowing you're 3 feet above me and wishing things were different. The world tilted. Everything I'd been feeling, everything I'd been trying to suppress, came rushing to the surface. Marcus, you don't have to say anything. I know this is against regulations. I know it's dangerous. I know we could both get kicked out if anyone found out. But I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of pretending. And I thought, maybe you might be tired of it too. I should have denied it. I should have stood up and walked away. I should have done anything except what I did, which was reach out in the darkness and find his hand. I'm terrified, I whispered. Me too. I've never even kissed anyone. Not really. Not in a way that mattered. Neither have I. We sat there holding hands in the dark, two soldiers on guard duty, breaking about 17 different rules, and it felt like the most honest moment of my entire life. What do we do? I asked. I don't know, but we have 2 more weeks of basic. Then we'll get our orders for AIT. There's a chance we'll get the same school, but it's not likely. We'll probably get separated. The thought of being separated from him hurt in a way I wasn't prepared for. 2 weeks. We had 2 weeks. Then let's make them count, I said. The last 2 weeks of basic training were the hardest and the best of my life. We couldn't do anything obvious. We couldn't hold hands or kiss or even sit too close together. But there were moments. Small, stolen moments that meant everything. His hand on my shoulder lasting a second too long when he helped me adjust my ruck. The way he'd find excuses to partner with me during drills. The conversations we'd have during Firewatch, talking about everything and nothing, learning each other in a way that felt more intimate than anything physical could have been. We talked about our families. He told me about growing up in San Francisco, about being the youngest of 3 kids, about the pressure to succeed and the fear of disappointing his parents. I told him about Ohio, about my dad who barely spoke, and my mom who worried constantly, about feeling like I was suffocating in a town where everyone knew my name, but nobody really knew me. We talked about what we wanted. He wanted to travel, to see the world beyond California and Georgia. He wanted to figure out who he was without his family's expectations weighing him down. I wanted to be brave. I wanted to stop hiding. I wanted to feel like I belonged somewhere. You belong here, he said one night, with me. For 2 more weeks. Maybe longer. Maybe we'll get lucky. But we didn't get lucky. On graduation day, when we got our orders, Marcus was going to Fort Gordon for signal training. I was going to Fort Sam Houston for combat medic training. Different states, different timelines, different futures. We had one night. One final night in the barracks before we all shipped out to our various schools. Most of the guys went into town to celebrate, to get drunk and blow off steam. Marcus and I volunteered for CQ duty, which meant we'd be awake all night manning the desk in the barracks. It also meant we'd be alone. The barracks were eerily quiet with everyone gone. We sat at the CQ desk, pretending to do paperwork, but mostly just looking at each other. Now that we could, now that we were alone, it felt almost too big, too real. I'm going to miss you, Marcus said finally. I'm going to miss you too. We can write, email, phone calls when we can. It won't be the same. No, it won't. He reached across the desk and took my hand. In 10 weeks, it was the most intimate thing we'd done, just holding hands, but it felt like everything. I wish we'd had more time, I said. We had enough time for me to fall for you. That's something. I looked at him, this man who'd seen me at my weakest and never judged me, who'd made me feel less alone than I'd ever felt in my life. I think I love you, I said. I know that's crazy. I know it's too fast, but I think I do. It's not crazy. He squeezed my hand. I love you too. We spent that night talking, holding hands across the CQ desk, stealing moments that would have to last us through however long we'd be apart. When the sun started to rise, we went back to our bay one last time. Everyone else was still asleep or out. It was just us in the rows of empty bunks. I have something for you, Marcus said. He went to his locker and pulled out a t-shirt. Not his uniform shirt, but a worn gray t-shirt that he slept in sometimes. I want you to have this. Marcus, I know it's stupid, but it smells like me, and maybe when things get hard, you can remember that someone out there is thinking about you, that you're not alone. I took the shirt, holding it like it was precious, because it was. What if we don't see each other again? We will. I don't know when or how, but we will. This isn't over, Ryan. It can't be. I won't let it be. He stepped closer, and for the first time, he kissed me. It was soft and quick and probably terrible by any objective standard, but it was perfect. It was everything. I have to go, he whispered. My bus leaves in an hour. I know. He kissed me one more time, then grabbed his duffel and walked away. I watched him go, standing there in the empty barracks with his shirt in my hands, and I felt something break open in my chest. But it wasn't a bad breaking. It was like something had finally cracked through to let the light in. That was 3 months ago. I'm at Fort Sam Houston now, halfway through my combat medic training. Marcus is at Fort Gordon, learning to be a signal specialist. We email almost every day. We've talked on the phone twice, quick conversations that never feel like enough. We're trying to figure out how to make this work, how to be together in an organization that doesn't want us to exist. But here's the thing I've learned. Love doesn't make you weak. Being vulnerable doesn't make you less of a man. Marcus taught me that. In 10 weeks of basic training, he taught me more about courage than any drill sergeant ever could. Because it takes courage to be yourself. It takes courage to admit what you feel. It takes courage to love someone when everything around you says you shouldn't. I still have his shirt. I sleep with it on my pillow. And yeah, I know that's pathetic, but I don't care. It smells like cedar and something distinctly Marcus, and on the hard nights when I'm exhausted and homesick and scared about the future, it reminds me that I'm not alone, that somewhere out there, someone knows me, really knows me, and loves me anyway. We're going to see each other soon. We both have leave coming up in a few weeks, and we're meeting in Atlanta, just a weekend. But it's something. It's a start. And after that, who knows? Maybe we'll get stationed near each other. Maybe we'll have to do long distance for years. Maybe it won't work out at all. But we're going to try. We're going to be brave. Because that's what Marcus taught me. That's what basic training really taught me, even though it wasn't the lesson they intended. Being a soldier isn't about hiding who you are. It's about having the courage to stand up, to be counted, to fight for what matters. And Marcus matters. This feeling matters. I matter. My name is Ryan. I'm 19 years old, and I'm a gay man in the United States Army. I'm also someone's boyfriend, even if we have to keep it quiet. I'm also someone who's learning that the strongest thing you can be is honest, that the bravest thing you can do is love someone with your whole heart, even when it's complicated and scary and against the rules. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if Marcus and I will make it, if we'll find a way to be together, if the Army will let us serve openly someday. But I know that I'm not going back in the closet. I know that I'm not going to spend my life hiding who I am. And I know that whatever happens, I'll always be grateful for those 10 weeks at Fort Benning, for a bottom bunk and a man who saw me and didn't look away. Sometimes the people who change your life show up when you least expect them. Sometimes love finds you in the last place you thought to look. And sometimes a shirt left on your pillow is enough to remind you that you're worth fighting for, that you're worth loving, that you're enough, exactly as you are. I'm shipping out to my first duty station in 3 months. I requested Germany, and so did Marcus. The chances of us both getting it are slim, but we're hoping. And if we don't, we'll figure it out. We'll make it work somehow. Because that's what you do when you find something real. You fight for it. You don't give up. And I'm not giving up. Not on Marcus, not on us, not on myself. I'm a soldier, and soldiers don't quit. We adapt, we overcome, we survive. And sometimes, if we're really lucky, we find someone who makes us want to do more than just survive, someone who makes us want to live.